1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Who doesn't learn that in kindergarten, first grade? My guest today, Lawrence Bergreen, has written Columbus, The Four Voyages. Welcome, Lawrence.
Thank you, Connie. Glad to be here.
Thank you. And if ever there was a man whose history we do not really know, it was Columbus, and it is here in this book. How did you find his original notes?
Well, they're scattered around various archives in Spain, to a lesser extent in the United States, in various libraries dedicated to exploration and discovery. Brown University, for example, has a big one. Perhaps the mother of all those libraries is in Seville, the Archive of the Indies. And that made the story much more interesting because one could use those sources to really recreate the voyage almost day by day and to get a sense of who these people were, what their passions and conflicts were, and it gives you kind of a real ground level view of it.
You begin the book, though, with that out to sea, the Menina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria.
Right.
And they have been out to sea, they have not seen land. And someone says, wait a minute, I see a little light, and Columbus comes running up and he sees it. But actually it had been one of the seamen who really saw it.
Yes, that's right.
But that was Columbus's problem. He was always taking the fame, the credit for what was done.
Yes. He had, we would say today, he had a giant ego. He would say that he was on a mission from God, quite literally, because he was so devout, and in fact on his later voyages, and they were all pretty closely spaced together over a period of 12 years, he thought he heard the voice of God talking to him. And we even know what he thought he heard because he wrote it down. We don't know what language God spoke. Was it Spanish? Was it Italian? Columbus being from Genoa. But so that accounted for this sense of solipsism, of living in his own world.
Now, he goes to the King of Portugal.
Right.
And
King
he
João.
says, please back me. And the king really holds him sort of like a dog on a leash.
Right.
And he takes everything that Columbus says and gives it to someone else to do.
That's right. For 8 years. And Columbus had married someone who was a member of the minor Portuguese nobility to try and gain entree into this very closed circle, to get backing from King João, who was a very, very deceptive Machiavellian ruler, and never got it. He then eventually went to Spain. Why did he go to Portugal and Spain to begin with? Well, there were other Genoese like Columbus who were in search of backing, and there were expatriate colonies in both places. So the next stop after getting nowhere with King João was to go to Spain and go to Ferdinand and Isabella, who were relatively newly installed as the sovereigns. And suddenly things happened very quickly. Within a year, he was able to get their backing because they wanted to get out in front of the Portuguese. So he finally got what he sought after all those years.
Now he gets the money, he gets the ships. Interesting too, 1492 is the year of the Inquisition.
Yes.
And the Jews have been sent out of Spain, or they must become conversos.
Right.
One of whom sails with Columbus.
Right. He had a number of conversos, of converted Jews, with him. At the same time, Ferdinand and Isabella and the Inquisition had also driven the Moors from Spain, and they were just as entrenched as the Jews. So this was a time of great political transition and consolidation in Spain. Part of the reason they wanted to send Columbus on this mission was to expand and finance their empire. But Columbus, so some of his voyage was financed by conversos. There have been rumors that Columbus himself was a converso, but there's really nothing to it. He was actually from Genoa, from an old established family there. And so he went in search of, for two reasons, for greed and for glory.
And the glory was he wanted to become not a sir, but a Don Columbus.
Right.
And he also wanted to be known as Admiral of
the Ocean Sea.
Right.
Yes, which they made him. They were happy to fling around titles because, and this was a hereditary title, and he died even after he had been disgraced and disowned by Ferdinand and Isabella as the Admiral of the Ocean Sea, and it was a title that he passed on for generations of Columbus' descendants, importantly to his son Ferdinand, who sailed on the fourth voyage and wrote the first biography of his father. And the other part, the glory part, was a part of their religious mission. I'd mentioned that he believed he was on a mission from God. And he was supposed to convert the people he found there in China, turned out to be the Caribbean, to Christianity. And that was the other part of his mission.